We really have the last minute updates here, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sorry that it's taken us this long to get to this, but I asked you all last week, what would you rather have? Would you rather have an early Saturday morning stream and I can kind of give you a lot of updates, or should we really wait till Saturday night? That way we can go ahead and get you everything that there will be. So yeah, honestly, we had some big news to talk about later on that just broke. Let's cover what, we've kind of known for a little bit first. Let me first go ahead and we'll pull up what we have with these underdog reports. So Noah Brown, not going to be playing week 11. So no Noah Brown. Fire up Nico Collins. Nico Collins good to go. And fire up Tank Dell. We know this is a great offense. Plus, you have a pretty good matchup going up against the Arizona Cardinals. The target's going to be a little more condensed here. So yeah, I think having no Noah Brown should be a pretty big deal here. Now going over to our next guy, Hayden Hurst is out week 11. Now, this may impact a best ball team or two. In reality, probably no impact. You have DJ Chark, good to go, not even listed on the injury report. If you're looking at this, really the only guy you're playing no matter what is Adam Thielen. It is a very tough matchup going up against Dallas. Antonio Gibson is listed doubtful for week 11. Really good matchup against the Giants where you have a massive spread on this game. This should be a game where you actually can go through and can run the ball in the second half. The spread's like 11 points. So yeah, Brian Robinson, fire him up, must start back, probably with no Gibson here. Actually a low-end RB1, at the very worst. Now going over to Garrett Wilson. Garrett Wilson will be playing week 11. Now if you're going to look at the underdog pick'ems, you'll see that Garrett Wilson, despite being banged up, despite being at practice in a limited capacity, yada, 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 and despite it being a tough matchup against Buffalo, still someone that you have to start no matter what. If you're looking at his underdog pick'em right now, knowing the volume that he has, I believe they have him at about 10.5 targets and at the same time, 66-ish receiving yards. So yeah, go ahead, start Garrett Wilson. You have to get him in there and don't overthink it. Our next guy will be Treylon Burks. No Burks for week 11. So you're probably going to actually go through and start DeAndre Hopkins here. If you're going to look at the underdog pick him that you have for Hopkins, I believe they have him at around 56.5 receiving yards. 55.5 receiving yards, 56.5 total yards. But yeah, I know Treylon Burks. Just easy to just dominate targets here. Going over to Alexander Mattison. We have not had Alexander Mattison officially ruled out. What's very interesting is, of course, this is going to be a game that plays on Sunday night. Now, I'm assuming we're going to get clarity, obviously, at the end of the day. Did he clear concussion protocol or did he not? As of right now, I haven't seen anything. I'll probably update y'all tomorrow morning. Let me know if y'all see anything, and please let me know in the live chat right now if I missed something. But I don't have any news on Alexander Mattison. Looks like he's still questionable. KJ Osborne will be playing, and we'll talk about Jefferson later on. KJ Osborne playing may actually matter here. Joe Burrow, we already talked about him missing the rest of the season, so please lower down Jamar Chase, lower down T. Higgins, lower down Joe Mixon in your rest of season rankings, and that this should be an offense that's pretty hard to get excited about. Khalil Herbert will be good to go. Deonta Foreman, most likely going to be good to go as well. Now, I think that the most likely outcome that we are going to have here in Chicago is a running back by committee where nobody is super exciting. So personally, I am benching both players. We'll see what happens. Maybe if Deonta Foreman shows us this week, you know what, man, I took over the full-time job, then maybe the week after you play Foreman. I'm not starting either one before we see the actual workload. Deontay Johnson, not even listed on the injury report anymore. People were worried earlier in the week on if he was going to play or not. You go and look at the underdog pick him for Deontay Johnson this week. Really listed in a way that you can't start him. They have him currently for 45.5 receiving yards. I wouldn't mind going with the more than 4 receptions on him. Just saying you're going to get some cheap target volume underneath. But yeah, you're not starting Deontay Johnson. You're not starting anybody in this offense. How bad of a matchup this is against Cleveland. Now, going over to what we have with Jalen Hyatt. Hyatt, not listed on the injury report for week 11. Not playing him. Not playing anybody in New York, not named Saquon Barkley, so I don't even know why I included this. You have no Dameon Pierce week 11 either, so no Dameon Pierce. Devin Singletary should project out to be that mid to low-end RB2, someone that you honestly probably have to go through and start. If you look at his underdog pick him here, They have him at about 77.5 rushing yards, which is very comparable to what you have with someone like James Conner. That's actually more than James Conner. And he's one of the very few running backs that have at even odds to score a touchdown or not. Now, while I have a lot of Devin Singletary, and I feel like I got lucky with everything that's happened with how much Singletary I drafted in underdog drafts, I will say it's still probably tough to project him to score a touchdown while we start him as a low-end RB2. If you wanted to go through and take the fewer than half a rushing touchdown on Underdog Fantasy for Singletary, I'm not going to fault you for that. And of course, if you wanted to find any of those pick'ems over on Underdog, promo code FLOCK, link in the live chat, description, comment section. Code FLOCK will get you 100% deposit match, plus our rest of season fantasy football rankings and tiers. And ladies and gentlemen, a Russell Wilson special pick'em, more than less than half a total yard as well for tomorrow's games. But going over to our next guy, Gerald Everett listed out. So, I mean, bump Keenan if you needed an excuse. I mean, in reality, the only thing is if you are desperate for a tight end play or playing like a 16-team league, maybe you can go through and pick up Donald Parham. Now, Tyler Lockett is someone that really hasn't been practicing this week at all. So you would assume that he's going to miss, but keep in mind, it's like a 31-year-old wide receiver, right? So really, if you're Lockett, you don't need to be at practice. We've seen this all year where Tyler Lockett's not practicing on Wednesday, not practicing on Thursday, gets in a Friday practice, and is good to go on Sunday. Now, if you're looking at what we have with them not practicing on Friday, it's 100% concerning. And we probably do, say, use this as a tiebreaker to bench Lockett in general. What's interesting is if he misses, what's the role for JSN? Now, Matthew Stafford not on the injury report at all. Stafford will be good to go. Please start Puka. Please start Cooper Kupp. Both are going to absolutely crush. Pat Freiermuth is going to be activated. So with Pat Freiermuth, this is a tight end that I have in a lot of underdog basketball drafts. I am sending up a prayer that he does well tonight. But I'm going to be realistic, and I'm going to assume, tomorrow night. But I'm going to assume that Pat Freiermuth does not really do anything. I hope that this changes, but it's a very tough matchup against the Cleveland Browns. Not only is it a very tough matchup against Cleveland, but Freiermuth wasn't doing anything before the injury. And we already talked about Deonta Foreman, Khalil Herbert, both being good to go. I don't want to start either. Let's see what they do this week. Maybe next week we can start someone we know how it's going to go. Now, Rico Dowdle, downgraded to questionable for week 11. Maybe this just gives you another excuse to go ahead and play Tony Pollard. While I didn't really draft Tony Pollard at all, I will stand by the fact that you need to start him. Please go through, start Tony Pollard everywhere you can. It is the best matchup imaginable going up against Carolina. He is going to continue to get the workload in this backfield. I hope I am wrong. I hope that Tony Pollard continues to fall flat on his face because we'd win a lot of money. But I have a feeling that we're probably going to get a big Pollard week this week. Now, this is the sad news that we have here, ladies and gentlemen. Justin Jefferson not activated to the 53-man roster, officially ruled out for week 11. Sucks. I was operating under the assumption all week that we were going to have Justin Jefferson good to go. But now this does mean that Jordan Addison is a viable play, and it looks like TJ Hawkinson is going to play as well. So I think we play Addison. You play Hawkinson. Joshua Dobbs is less appealing than he would be otherwise. Brutal. Especially if you are able to stay in the game, right, by having Justin Jefferson injured earlier on and then just grinded your way to still be viable. Now, we're going to go ahead and we're going to look at what Deepak has said about this. Just a follow that I like on Twitter, actual fantasy doctor, someone that's a lot smarter than I am with injuries, so we can go through and see what he's saying. So Keenan Allen, someone that I'm just assuming is going to play. He's saying that there's a chance he doesn't. I'm assuming Keenan Allen, 100% good to go. I'm planning on starting Keenan Allen, but maybe that's something we have to look at. Nico Collins, good to go. Don't worry about it. Jalen Hurts looks like he should be running the ball more based off the timeline of his bone bruise. We're starting Jalen Hurts regardless, but maybe if you were looking at one of those underdog pick'ems like more than less than half a rushing touchdown for Jalen Hurts, you go with the rushing touchdown. Tyler Lockett to be determined. Lean towards playing. Most wide receivers would sit, but Seattle rest vets extra. If active, data suggests a 15% efficiency dip. So it's what we were saying, right? I mean, in general, if you are looking at Lockett, we can use this injury as a tiebreaker to say, you know what, probably better to go in a different direction. And really, that's all that I thought was worth highlighting there. But I think that should be primarily it. Please let me know in the live chat if you have any questions regarding any other players. Be happy to talk about it. And if not, we will be live streaming tonight. We'll be live streaming tomorrow morning as well to answer all your fantasy football questions. So I really hope to get to see you there. And yeah, if you have not done so already, please hit that like button, ladies and gentlemen. Today is day 205 of live streaming every single day in a row. And if you wanted to check out any of these pick'ems over on Underdog Fantasy, you can find that link in the live chat, find it in the description, find it in the comment section. Promo code FLOCK, 100% deposit match, plus our rest of season fantasy football rankings and tiers, and that Russell Wilson special pick'em more than less than half a total yard. Dark City coming out saying Hook'em Horns. Hook'em Horns, my man, big game tonight. I am excited for it. And yeah, I don't necessarily think that we have any other questions. We talked about Madison a bit. I don't know. I think we should have clarity on if he clears concussion protocol. I'm assuming that we have no Alexander Madison. It's my assumption. If he clears concussion protocol, we will be told, of course. But I think that's it. Thank you again, ladies and gentlemen. I really do appreciate you. I really do hope that you have a great week 11. I hope I get to see you tonight or tomorrow morning in another live stream. And if not, no worries. I'm rooting for you. And yeah, have a great one.